Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Ed. I'm part of the team who take care of the church here. And it's a pleasure to start this new series with that reading. More on that later. But let me ask you a question. Where do you look for your purpose? Where do you look for it? I think we can look in all sorts of places. Perhaps you look for your purpose in your achievements, in your work. Maybe it's the grades that you're hoping to get at school, at uni. Maybe it's the job that you're hoping to get. Maybe you're on a track where you're expecting promotion, and then you'll get paid this, and then you get this role, and you get this. And you're hoping that your life is going to be built, sort of propped up with this sense of purpose that you get from your work. I've got a friend of mine, he talks about having micro goals. He's saying the problem with having things that you achieve is once you've achieved it, well, you've lost your purpose. So he's like, well, I've got micro goals. I achieve this, and then I achieve this, and I achieve this, and I just keep going, so I've always got a purpose. There's always something new to do. Maybe you look for your purpose in your work, in achievements. Perhaps it's greatness. Maybe you just feel like, I've got to do something monumental, something huge. Hannah and I watched this TV show called Trying, and this it's quite funny. The first series is the best. That's public service announcement. The rest of it, leave it. But in series 4, there's this funny moment where one of these characters, who's just been a bit of a sort of nothing character called Scott, you sort of love to hate him. He's a bit of an idiot. But then he gets it into his head. He's been a banker, and he feels terrible about this. Existential crisis because I've made all of this money. And so he gets it into his head. He's got to do this massive thing to sort of prove himself. And so on a whim, he decides he's going to row the Atlantic by himself, with having never rowed a boat before in his life, having no idea of what's going on. And then hilarity ensues as he realizes just how massive a task he's hooked up to. Maybe you feel like Scott, and you just think the world is waiting for me to put my mark on it as I do this amazing thing. Maybe that's your purpose. Maybe, though, like me, you're enjoying listening to Olivia Dean, and you're just thinking, I'm just the man or woman I need. Maybe it's relationships. Maybe you're looking, the thing that is going to make me whole, the thing that is going to give me purpose is being needed by someone, knowing that I need them and they need me. That's where purpose is. I wonder where you look. I wonder, though, have you ever thought about why, with a world full of so many wonderful and good things, why purpose just so often feels out of reach? Have you ever thought about that? There are all sorts of things we can sort of set our hearts and lives to. There's work to do. There are amazing things we can do. There's relationships. And yet, so many of us, so much of the time, feel like life is more like the daily grind. And the purpose that we're living with just doesn't feel like it's enough. Have you ever felt that way? Maybe you say, look, the problem is society. Society is keeping you down. Maybe you're like, no, it's capitalism. Capitalism is keeping you down. It's the people who've got more. They're stopping the little guys. Maybe you're looking at it and thinking, you just need to keep going. You just haven't arrived. If I just keep trying, eventually I'll row the Atlantic or whatever it is. Eventually I'll find that woman. I'll find that man. Eventually I'll get that job, and all the things are going to just fall into place. Maybe. I wonder, though, if you recognize there are so many stories, and perhaps you can see this in your own life, of people who have achieved what they thought was their purpose, only to discover there's still a gaping hole. I'm sure we can all think of stories like that. The thing that struck me most as an illustration of this was a TV show that we don't just watch TV. But we like our shows. Watch Daisy Jones and the Six. Anyone watch Daisy Jones and the Six? It's great. It's on Amazon. Again, public service announcement. That is a good one. There's an amazing part, episode 9. It's really quite moving, actually, where you've got this band. It's sort of loosely based on the creation of the album Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. So it's fictional. But you've got this band, and they've made it. They are the biggest band in the world. They're playing sold-out stadiums. Everywhere they go, there are adoring fans throwing themselves at them. Like they've properly made it. But then there's this really moving scene where the two lead singers, Daisy and Billy, they're sat on this bus and they have this conversation, and it should be up on the screen. Daisy looks at him and says, "Look, I've wanted this life since I was 14 years old." And Billy says, "Yeah, me too." And then she looks at him and says, So why are we so unhappy? And then I don't know. Why is it that this life has so many amazing things to offer? We can look and find wonderful things to do, and yet when you get there, when you reach the place that you think you're aiming at, it's still not enough. There are so many stories. We can think of so many celebrities, people who have reached stardom, they've become famous, they've got the money, they've had that creative success that touches millions of lives, and yet they find themselves, even they find themselves, I'm still missing something. And look, most of us, we don't reach those heady heights, do we? Most of us live really normal lives, right? Don't we? Most of us get up and we do the same thing. And maybe we go through life and you have the joy of having kids, and then you have that difficult thing like Eileen was talking about, the joy of parenthood and the frustration of parenthood. Whatever it is, most of us live incredibly ordinary lives. Why is it that we have a sense of purpose that feels so close and yet so far away? I wonder if you've ever stopped to think about this. Look, I think the Bible has incredibly good news for us today. Whoever you are, it has great news. This is not a unique question for us today. It's a question that Christianity, that the worldview of the Scriptures speaks directly into. And it gives us, I genuinely think it has the best and deepest explanatory power for the lives that we live today. Why we so want this purpose, why it can feel so close and yet so far. And ultimately points us to the amazing news of Jesus Christ himself, the one in whom purpose is found. And so I just want to help us to think about that over the course of this afternoon. I want to think first, why do we want this purpose? Why do we want this purpose? Well, quite simply, because you were made for it. You were made for a true, deep, profound purpose that is hard to describe. Just look with me at the last verse that Leeds read for us. This is from Ecclesiastes 3:11. The writer, the teacher says this: He has made, that is God, everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Why do we want purpose? Why do we feel the need to do these outlandish, amazing, crazy things? Why do we feel like it's just not enough to do the day by day by day? Well, it's because you've been made with a purpose. You've been made with a purpose. Until you find and you connect with that, you're going to be restless. Did you see it says God has set eternity in our hearts? We live with this desire, this longing for the eternal. God has made your heart, every human heart, with a bent towards the eternal. You were made for connection with the transcendent, eternal God. Why do we need purpose? It's because we have been made for this great, huge, expansive, eternal relationship with the eternal God. Christians in the past have put it this way in a form of question and answer. They've said this: what is the chief end of man? As in, what's the main purpose of humanity? It's to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Do you hear that? It's about being connected to the eternal God, and not just knowing him in some sort of loose sense, but enjoying him, a closeness. Why do we long for purpose? Why do we long for something that just the normal day-to-day life feels like it doesn't touch? Why do we long for it? It's because you've been made for purpose. You've been made to glorify God and enjoy him forever. But if that's the case, then why is it so hard? Why does it feel so hard to find that? Well, simply, again, the teacher in Ecclesiastes, we're going to spend a bit longer in this. The teacher in Ecclesiastes, he wants us to see that so often we look for this purpose in all the wrong places. And that cheery reading that Lido read for us, it's written by the writer. He calls himself the teacher. It's an ancient form of wisdom literature, and it's written to teach us something by the teacher who says, a king of ancient Israel, someone with life experience, who has seen all sorts of things, and he wants to teach us something. And did you hear the first thing he says? Super cheery for a Sunday afternoon. He says, meaningless. He says, life is meaningless. He says it 4 times, and it escalates. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. It wasn't originally written in English, you'll be surprised to hear, but written in the Hebrew language. And the word meaningless here, it has a sense of vapor. It's like a mist. The teacher is saying, look, life is a bit like a fog, that if you try and catch it, it's just going to slip through your fingers. It's impossible. He concludes, it's meaningless. Now, maybe you're thinking, yeah, that sounds quite pessimistic. And you're right, it's because it is. But he's not just being pessimistic to be contrary, and he's not just having a bad day. The teacher wants us to learn something. He wants us to see this. He's saying, if you search for purpose in things which are finite, if you look in this world to fill the infinite hole with finite things, you will always be dissatisfied. You will always be dissatisfied if you try and fill an infinite hole with finite things. If you look to these things in life to work, all these other things, it's not going to work. He says, just look with me at work, verse 3. He says, what do people gain from their labors as they toil under the sun? What do you gain? That word, labor, you could translate it toil, trouble. He's saying, look, life is difficult. Life is difficult. Work is difficult. It's often painful, and often it includes work that just feels totally meaningless. If you're ever at school or at work, it's Monday morning, and the boss comes in and says, I want you to work on this. I need it by Friday. I need your best effort. And so you work away, you're busy away, and you get there on Friday, and you give your boss the piece of work and say, oh, sorry, did I not tell you? Oh, we're not doing that anymore. You didn't need to do that. I remember a day of work. I used to be a postman, and I would cycle down to the office. And one day I cycled down, and it was not paid a lot of money, but it was fine. It was enough that I needed. I went to work. I cycled home, and on the way home, it was a busy line of traffic, and I had a crash. I don't think it was my fault. The people who mattered thought it was my fault. And I put my hand on this car, and it dented the car, and it was a rental car, and basically, the rental car company pursued me for like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. I don't know how much more money than I'd earned that day. And I just went home and thought, if I'd stayed in bed, today would have been a more productive day. What was the point? What was the point? Have you ever had that in life? What was the point? Literally, it would have been better if I'd stayed in bed today, because everything I've turned my hand to has just turned rubbish. Have you ever had a day like that? So then the teacher says, don't look to work to give you purpose, because that's what it's like in this world. It will be futile. Don't find your purpose there. But what about greatness? Well, he says, don't look there, because fame is fleeting. Just look at verse 9. How's this for a cheery Sunday afternoon? What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. You think you're doing something great, the teacher says. You think you're doing something amazing, brand new, worthwhile. You're not. It's been. There is nothing new. There's nothing impressive. Sure, maybe you'll get a note in the Guinness Book of Records, but somebody's going to come along and beat it. He says, look at nature. In verses 5 through 7, he says, look at the sun. The sun is grand. It's amazing. So hot. You feel its heat. It's amazing. It gives light. But what does it do? It goes out. It comes away. It rises, it sets, it rises. It's just the same old, same old. It happens again. The sea is powerful, but it's never filled. It's just all of these different images that say, look at the futility of life. It just goes on and on. You think you're going to do something great, even the greatest things in the world that we can look at. It just goes round and round again. Wash, rinse, and repeat. I remember a different job when I was between the summer at university, and I would work in a restaurant. I was a waiter, and it dawned on me halfway through one of the summer, I was mopping this floor. I was like, I did this yesterday, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow, and I'm going to do it the day after, and I'm just going to keep mopping this floor. Well, what's the point? It just happens again and again and again. Even with the great things we turn ourselves to, the teacher says, don't look for your life and your purpose in these things. Most of us don't live doing the amazing sort of rock star lifestyle of selling out stadiums. Most of us live entirely ordinary lives. Don't look for greatness. Don't look for your purpose and your greatness. And he says, don't look for relationships either. And this is cutting because he says, don't look there because we are all ultimately completely forgettable. Just look at verse 11. This is striking. Verse 11, he says, no one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those after them. The teacher wants us to get, he's saying, God has put eternity in your heart. And we might try and fill that whole of eternity with this sense of purpose by having a sense of, I mean something to this person, or they mean something to me. But again, you cannot fill an infinite whole with finite things. You cannot turn to a finite human being and say, fill me, meet my need. They can't do it. It's putting too much on them because one day, you, I, all of us, we will die. We are infinite creatures who are here one day and we will then be gone another. You may be loved for a time. No doubt we will be mourned. But one day, whoever you are, we will be forgotten. And just, if you don't believe me, think about this. Think about your own family. How far back in your family can you go before you start forgetting the names of people? And I don't mean your last name. Who can name the first name of their great-great-grandparents or their great-great-great-grandparents? We're all ultimately forgettable. So if we try and find our purpose in these things, we are walking a life that is going to be constantly working, constantly struggling. You will never find it. It is futile. It is fleeting. We will be forgotten. Friends, don't look there. And that's why he's so pessimistic. He's not just having a bad day. He wants us to see something. He wants to reorder our hearts. He's not just trying to make it miserable. He's saying, but this is what life will be like if you keep going this way. I painted a bleak picture. What about the good news? Well, this is the good news. It's not just what the teacher has to say in Ecclesiastes. He wants us to wake up, to shake us out of these different places that we might look to and say, come and find true life. Come and find that desire for purpose, not by going on this wild adventure to find it elsewhere, not by looking to yourself. Come and find it in Jesus Christ. Because Jesus, and this is the amazing news of Christianity, he offers all of these things that we're going to think through over the course of this month. He offers true, deep, real life. He offers purpose, but he offers us in a way that we don't expect. He absolutely can give you a deep, profound sense of purpose, but it is not going to come to you in the way that you expect. He's going to challenge you, and he's going to change you. And to do that, we're going to just turn back to those verses that we heard in our call to worship. This is the invitation that Jesus, that reminds us of what it says. Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Two things. Jesus says, first, come to me. Second, take my burden. I'm going to think about those. Come to me. Now look, whoever you are, Jesus says this to you today. If you follow Jesus for your whole life, Jesus says to you today, come to me. If you are looking in and thinking, does Jesus have purpose for me? He says, come to me. Whoever you are, wherever we find ourselves on that spectrum, this is what Jesus says. He says, come to me, let me reorder your heart. We've thought about that already, haven't we? If you try and fill your life, fill this deep, eternal desire, sense of need for purpose, if you try and fill that eternity-shaped hole with finite things, you are going to run and run and run yourself ragged, and you will never fill it. And your life instead will be filled with bitterness and disappointment as the things that you turn to fill that hole crumble under the weight of your expectation. It cannot do it. Jesus, though, says, come to me. And if you follow Jesus, he still says that to you today. Come to me. Because here's the thing. If you follow Jesus for 100 days, for 100 minutes, or you're just thinking about it, whatever it is, we still live with this temptation. We still live in this Ecclesiastes world, right? We still live in a world that does suffer under the weight of sin, of being disconnected from God. And we also are still so tempted to find our purpose and value in all these things in other places, right? Who of us hasn't had that experience at work, at school, at home, with friends down the pub, whatever it might be, just thinking, oh, I just think maybe I need to do that great thing. I want people to think of me as great. I don't want to serve in these unseen, boring ways. My life is just full of boring, frustrating things. I want something bigger. We're all tempted to think that we are the ones that need to be at the center of our own universe and to focus our lives on ourselves. And Jesus says, no, come to me. Come and order your life around me, not you. Come to me. We're tempted to look for life in all sorts of places, and we need to come to him. And really, the first thing that means doing is, if you're coming to Jesus for the first time, is recognizing, I've looked for life in all sorts of other places. I've looked for purpose in all sorts of other places, and I need to recognize that and turn from that and turn to Jesus. And it might be that as you follow Jesus for yourself, you think, where am I looking? What are the things I'm hoping are going to give me a sense of purpose? Am I expecting my parenting of my kids, or the running of my home, or the job that I'm working hard at? Am I coming to this and actually deep down in ways that I perhaps haven't articulated yet, I'm expecting this to give me a sense of purpose beyond what it can offer? The world is full of wonderful and good things. Work is good, parenting is good, they're good things. But if you put your sense of expectation, if you look to these things, work, greatness, relationships, whatever it is, and say, this is going to fulfill me, it is bad for you, but also you are robbing Jesus of his glory. You're expecting these things to give you what they can't do, and you're robbing Jesus of his glory. And we need to turn from that and turn to Jesus. That's the first thing. Come to me. The second, though, is take my yoke upon me. Now, a yoke is an agricultural tool. Do you have a picture? Isn't that an attractive thing? Just saying, come and do this. Now, maybe you're thinking, wow, I was with you, but now you've put that picture on, I'm done. You can take it off. We don't need to look at that too long, do we? What he's saying is this, is come and be connected to me. The Christian life is not one of you discovering just how totally special you are and you're going to live, reach your wildest dreams. It's come to Jesus and be connected to him. Come and find your purpose, not in self-expression, not in doing grand and wild things. Come and find your purpose in your connection to Jesus Christ, the infinite God. Come and know the one who truly is eternal and welcomes you to the eternal God. Come and find your life in connection to him, in being yoked to him. Come and submit your life to him. Put all that you are before him and follow him. And in this you will find purpose. And particularly, I think we see that expressed in serving other people. I just think this is so countercultural. So much of the things that we consume on TV, in the media, in the music that we listen to, it's all about follow your dreams. You will find your purpose when you put yourself at the center. And Jesus says, no, come to me, yoke your life to me, connect your life to me, subvert your will, your expectations, all that you are to me, and in that you will find life as you serve God and serve other people. We touched on that in the confession. This is the call that Jesus gives to us. It's not come and be all about self-expression. It's come and find your life by dying to yourself and following Jesus. And look, I don't know how that lands with your ears, but this is what Jesus promises. It's when you come to him, when you are yoked to him, you find life, you find rest. Let me just read that again. It should come back up on the screen. We got it somewhere. It says, verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. He's saying, you want your purpose? Here's your purpose. Come and know the eternal God, and now serve other people. Serve the Lord your God with all your heart, and find life and contentment in that. It's not about the eternal holiday. It's come and find life following Jesus, submitting yourself to him. I think this quote is maybe backwards, Ethan, on the screen. Here's a helpful thing from a guy called Irenaeus of Lyon. He was a Christian writer and thinker in the 2nd century. And I just think this is a really helpful way that just speaks into us. Maybe you're thinking, gosh, serving God, am I just trading freedom to come and be a slave to God? Why does God need my service? Irenaeus wrote this. It says, but for this reason, for this reason does God demand service from men, in order that since he is good and merciful, he may benefit those who continue in his service. What does he mean? He's saying God doesn't need your service. God isn't up in heaven demanding service from you, demanding you come and give your life to him because he's missing something, because he lacks something. He's saying, no, God is the eternal God, the only one who can fill that hole, that eternity-shaped hole in you. But actually, as you come and live your life in serving this eternal God, as you come in total surrender to Jesus and say, all that I have, I give to you, Jesus. I give you all my life, my sin, my trying to find purpose elsewhere. I'm going to give all of that to you, all the mess I've created, and all the other decisions now. I give all of that to you. All my life is yours. Use me as you will. In that, you find life. Because Jesus is kind and merciful. And as we do that, he blesses and blesses and blesses. He says, come to me. Are you searching for purpose? Come to me. Are you tired and weary? Come to me. Have you searched for purpose and thought, oh, I will find it here, only to get there and find it's let you down? He says, come to me. Come to me, all you who are weary. Come to me, and I will give you rest. He has the greatest hope, the greatest peace. He has life. In Jesus' name, will you come to him? I'm going to pause. Let's have a moment of quiet. You might just want to think on that offer and invitation that Jesus gives to you, and then we'll move into communion. Father, we thank you that this desire for life, this desire for a life with a deep, true purpose that we long for, Jesus, you offer that, not in the ways that we expect, but you offer us life. You offer us purpose. Thank you that you came, and at the cross, you have taken all the punishment for the ways that we have sought purpose elsewhere. You've taken the punishment for our sin. You've buried that down in the grave. And you've raised up to new life so we can be sure, even on our worst days, that when we know you, Jesus, we know the eternal God who has an eternity for us waiting. And we can know and experience that life now. Father, I pray for my friends here, for those of us who follow you but are just finding life as a grind right now. Would you bless us with a knowledge of your love and your purpose for us, even in the difficulty? And Father, for any friends here today who are still looking, still investigating, still not sure, would you show yourself to be this eternal God who gives this eternal purpose? In Jesus' name, amen.